And then about that time, with this ball starting to roll, Jackie's husband had a friend named Willis Bright, just an amazing person who worked for corporate responsibility and economic development at Honeywell. And Jackie was telling him about what we were doing, and he said, "Wow, you guys, have you considered starting a company? You may have an opportunity here." And so he invited us down to his office at Honeywell, going from our little organization, going to Honeywell in this beautiful boardroom. And he had put up paper all over the walls and just started asking us questions. If you had all the money in the world, what kind of business would you start? What kind of products would you sell? How would you sell them? Who would you sell them to? How would you repair them? What's your vision? It just all of these questions. And there was hardly a second in between the question and the answers that we were giving. And there was so much energy in the room. And by the time we left, I'm sure we looked like ghosts because we were going, "Oh my gosh, we think we can do this. We don't know how we're going to do this, but we think we can do this and we need to do this." And Honeywell and Lee were so inspirational in getting more volunteers. I asked for a female mentor because I hadn't actually been in business. And so she worked with we had lawyers, we had market research people, we had marketing people, finance people, and they were helping us with the vision. And Jackie's vision, understanding how schools worked, and having a huge vision about what was potentially possible worldwide, of how many people with disabilities could actually use this equipment. There was so little available. And we had always worked with students with the most significant disabilities, and we were having so much fun. And so we wanted to bring that simplicity, that fun. We knew that we needed to have products that were so durable because we didn't have much money as a nonprofit to do any repair, so we didn't want any repair. And Lee, being a scientist and a chemist, his natural talent was to look for everything that could go wrong. He would stay up nights thinking, what could happen with the control unit using electrical power? What do we need to do? How are we going to pass UL testing? And Jackie always thinking, how can we inspire teachers to know what's really possible? When we first started, we spent more of our time trying to influence people to be excited about what could be possible with a switch and a control unit for a student with the most significant disabilities. Because our switch was $29, our control unit was $80. And people would say, spending $100, $110 on a student that, we don't know what they understand, and if all they can do is turn on a blender, is it really worth doing that? So I remember one of our first materials was 100 appliances that you could use with the control unit. And talking about putting together slides and showing what leads from using, doing a functional activity to being able to communicate, and what those basics were. We wrote books, we did videos, we did workshops all over, showing slides of students that were showing what they could do, and people were going, "Oh, yeah, I guess those are my students, and I can do that." And so it just kept leading one to another. We had amazing people and a team that brought all these talents together. And in 1985, we started our business. Mary Kay Walsh was our first employee after myself. Lee continued to volunteer, and Jackie was a paid consultant. She stayed in her school district and working with us part-time as we built the business. We had, at that point, 130 volunteers that were helping us. We were making our battery device adapters at night with pizza parties and making small metal discs on punches in local companies that were doing the punching for us on their lunch hours. And it was extremely exciting. Mary Kay and I we were just talking last night. We just are celebrating our 25th anniversary. And Jackie, Lee, and Mary Kay and I, and our new CEO and Lee's wife, Rose, were out for dinner last night celebrating, and Mary Kay and I talking about we would run up to the mail every day and we'd get 3 orders in the mail, and we were so excited. And another interesting thing is we called our first switch, Switch 100. because we had gone through this huge effort to come up with the name AbleNet, and by then we were really tired. And one of the Honeywell people said, well, to name the switch, you know, you're going to have more switches, so why don't you just call it switch 100, and then you can call the next one switch 200. But the orders that we kept getting in the mail were 2 big red switches. And we went, oh, you know, that's a good name, and everybody's calling it. And we have a lawyer on our advisory committee. Let's trademark it. So we did, and that was kind of the beginning of this how to put fun and personality even into the products. And you know, we were the first ones with the plastic injection molded switch because of this high quality that we wanted. We knew, in fact, our testing is we take the big red switch and throw it 16 feet in the air against the brick wall of the back building to see if it still worked. And Lee actually drove over one with his car and it still worked. And we were delighted. We passed our first UL testing.